What does ESG leadership look like? It's bold, it's technical, and it's increasingly female. Hello and welcome to Women Talk, where we're discussing with female changemakers shaping our future. More discussions today is on leading the energy transition and pushing for sustainability, as well as ESG being more than just a buzzword. It's now shaping how companies are being assessed, if they're being funded, how investments are made, and how cities are being built. Today, no matter the industry, ESG is the new currency of credibility. To talk about this today, we have on the show with us two amazing guests, and they are Diana Amin, Senior Vice President, Head of Sustainability and ESG, as well as Associate Professor Dr. Harvin, who is Petroleum Engineer and Energy Educator. What a fantastic term. This is the first time I'm hearing of the term Energy Educator. Okay, so these two women that we have with us today are increasingly involved at the forefront of this movement. So I guess today we're going to start the discussion by asking, what do you think it takes to truly power the shift of women's involvement, besides the conversation of all of us also shifting into ESG itself, right? And how are women like yourselves steering that journey in your capacity from boardrooms, the corporate world, to classrooms? So let's start perhaps with Diana. You've worked on projects that try to make cities greener, as well as more sustainable, as well as smarter. So how do we go beyond the marketing slogans of that and actually see that being implemented?
Basically, from classroom to boardrooms is not practically an easy thing, but it means that we need to know that we establish a purpose into what we're doing. Why are we doing this? Of course, it's for the climate, and naturally that involves everyone and it impacted everyone. And therefore, we need to know that starting from schools to the workforce, we would need to be able to know that we are on the same track and having the same purpose to ensure practicing sustainability in ESG is something pivotal for us.
Yeah, go on,
sorry. So for example, 35% of the STEM currently for women in the world, but it could be more than just 35%. So right now we would like to see an increase of involvements and enrollments in STEM, as well as other parts of sustainability, including environmental and social solutions as well.
What is it really like managing something this ambitious? And tell us a little bit more about it. And how do we manage this balancing act, especially between growth, profitability, and actual sustainability?
Right. Well, I believe that it comes from ensuring that we are in the same purpose. And Medini Innopolis, like you said, it's Medini Innovation Metropolis. And therefore, we would like to ensure that building the city encompasses towards having more job creations, building a sustainable city for everyone, better for the society, better for the environment as well. And over all of that, everyone is working together, bottom up and top down, which is very good.
Yeah. As you said, there's alignment in that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Diana. Okay, Dr. Harvin, let's talk about you and your background of actually having been on ground in the industry, oil and gas, and now you're shaping this energy education, right? And do you see, first of all, congratulations and thank you for actually being a part of that from ground up. And do you see a genuine shift happening? Or do you think there's still a lot of lip service in the industry? And perhaps when you left, and you can talk about when you left, and maybe if there was any impetus there in your personal decision to get into the teaching role.
Okay, so when we talk about power shift in the industry, we always talk about interdisciplinary collaboration. We always talk about women or girls stepping up into leadership positions. So when we talk about ESG related, we are actually talking about making sure that it is not only in theory based, but we are also kind of putting it into practical sense.
Okay.
So all this ESG related theory knowledge, whether it's in the classrooms, it is actually being embedded into our curriculum. So it is something that it's not only theoretical now, but we're going to teach them how to put it out into real life.
So is that involving more soft skills as well?
Yes, definitely. Collaborative skills, teamwork, and not only that, when we talk about lip service, yes, there's a lot of lip service still going on, but however, now that companies are
Having to walk the talk.
It is no more just a promise.
Yeah.
It cannot just be a promise anymore. It has to be, rolled out.
It's good to see that our education sector here as well is already starting to implement that from academia.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Gender bias is systemic and is historical.
Yes.
And so I love the fact that you're also one of the women educators that are on ground. Do you see this showing up even in academia as well as in the energy sector when you were working?
Yes, definitely. Actually, we do see gender bias in terms of field-related technical skills, in terms of whether being offshore, in a lab, or even, going to the boardroom, there's always going to be some sort of gender bias. However, the awareness is there. The alliances are there now. And women are starting to take more into account that, yes, I belong here. So they are stepping up in these terms, which is remarkable, to be very honest. So at APU, we actually have something called Digit Girl, driving girls in technology, growth and leadership.
Love that.
So we spearheaded that, and it is actually a growing women empowerment network that we have. And that's why we are reaching out into various activities, events, and just so that we can build the women around us in terms of trying to lower down the gender bias.
Oh, this is fantastic news. Before we dive deeper, we're going for a quick break. Stay with us. Hello again, and welcome back to Women Talk. Today's discussion on ESG talks about the transition that is demanded from the workforce that's not only technically competent, but also systems-based or system-savvy and values-driven. When you talk about ESG and sustainability, Diana, let's start with you. What is discussion like? Are you still facing a little bit of resistance, or are you experiencing more support?
Yeah, I believe it's quite a balance right now, more than ever. There are still, I guess, resistance comes from concerns, and knowing that what are the risks of this, and what are the data, is there enough data to back this up, and what are we investing on, and stuff like that. So from our side, we just need to make sure that we are backing it up with proper data, from the understanding the gap and to the solutions that we're heading towards. So all of that needs to be in sync in terms of understanding that should be a value creation on its own. So value creation is not just on ROI and profit, so it comes from any other ways as well.
And so as long as you can back it up with the numbers and the data, you are getting that support.
Yes, and also it comes from the purpose that we are having together, because I'm sure that their concern comes from knowing that if we're going to do this, is it sustainable enough for the country and for the businesses, right? So we need to ensure, because sustainability is very wide spectrum. It comes and it touches from corporate to value chains and communities as well. So we need to think about everyone's balance, and understanding that if we just go one way, it might impact the other. So we need to know that everything is backed up by proper data.
So it's kind of like bottom up, as you said, and then you're getting support from top down, right?
It starts from a very young age, where we actually put this into their values. Their values from young age, so that things get better when they actually move up.
It's interesting because actually the Gen Alpha, even at the moment, are increasingly more eco-conscious,
right?
Yes, and sustainability conscious. So that helps.
Yeah, that's about 60+% starting from Gen Z that are already concerned about what are we going to do with the climate change
Yes.
and how does that affect their career and life moving forward, right? So that's where sustainability comes in, and knowing that we do need to have proper systems, like you said just now. And it comes into innovation as well as, like you said,
Education.
education overall.
Dr.
Even
Harvin,
the youth nowadays,
Yes.
just to add, the youth nowadays are asking, what are we doing about ESG?
Wow.
How are we implementing it rather than just, let's walk the talk? Yeah.
That's very encouraging. I got
this is
goosebumps.
something.
What challenges have you had to overcome, and how has that played into how you're teaching?
Okay, in terms of challenges, we would say that when we want to implement ESG, of course, right now we all are talking about it being a framework and so on. So putting it into practical skills would take a bit of time, but then again, once we get that right, then it is just about continuous improvement. So this is where we have to take a step back to think, how are we embedding it into our curriculum? How are we going to push through
Can you
terms
share a little bit more about what has been happening?
Okay, so in terms of ESG, we have an ESG task force. So with our ESG task force, every related activity or event that happens, whether it's an empowerment event, a workshop or whatsoever, how are we relating it back to ESG? That is something that we got to take a step back to think. So this is what we are implementing in APU in terms of getting all our, whatever that we do on a daily basis, ESG related.
Okay, so not just in curriculum, but also in how you're running, how things are being run in the university.
Things are being, yes.
Amazing. Dr. Harvin, I know that you personally mentor a lot of young women. What is the message that you're trying to pass on to them? And are there any gaps that you still see that needs to be bridged? And how are you addressing that in a way?
Yes. Gaps, there are still a lot of gaps in terms of women do feel underrepresented in terms of not being able to step up, to voice out, to be the voice that people want to hear. So my message is very simple: you belong here. So when I say that to my students or my mentees, they actually take that step, that say, okay, this is where I need to make a decision. This is where I need to step up. If not now, then never.
And you're living proof, actually.
Yeah,
I mean,
thank you.
It's not just, well, I'm here, you can be here. Yeah.
So it is a matter of saying, you belong here. This is where I belong. This is where I am going to make a difference. And this is where my voice is going to be heard. Yeah.
As you said, that representation is important.
Yes,
So
yes.
we're really glad to have the both of you on the show. Diana, can we talk about very quickly, just in terms of how sustainability is a career, a serious career to be considered, especially for women who may feel a little bit intimidated getting into such a technical-driven field?
Yeah, I believe currently we are actually providing campaigns on transitioning to green jobs. And that's like a big spectrum of green jobs, and I was from architecture, interior architecture, urban design, project management, and sustainability. But I think, again, sustainability involves an impact to everyone. So it can come from engineering, it can come from finance, it can come from everywhere.
Yes.
Basically, what we mean is sustainability at one point should be a default, that as much as we learn English in a daily basis or in school, we need to know that sustainability is part of decision making for everything that we do. But currently, we do need to have a green jobs, solution for energy transition. And myself, I was from all-girls school.
Yeah.
So again, on women empowerment, there's a lot more that we can do. But I believe we are in the right track.
The broader systems are in place,
Definitely.
and alongside, you're also bringing women up to the fore
Exactly.
at the same time. This is fantastic.
I didn't come from a girls' school, but I made sure my voice was heard.
Yes,
And when Diana talks about the multidisciplinary collaboration, I think that is so true. ESG not only involves one sector of the supply chain, it involves everyone, right from the STEM education right up to making decisions for the task force.
It's very encouraging to hear that we do have systems that are supporting this along the way.
Yes.
A riveting discussion. There'll be more on this. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. It's Anita here with you still, and today we're on the riveting topic about women in ESG, especially in taking the lead. This segment, we're going to be talking about solving climate and energy challenges that isn't just based on tech, it's also reliant on efficient systems. So whether it's how we build, how we lead, how we design, how we teach, we need bold, connected thinking, the interconnectivity as we've been talking about earlier. So let's talk about the solutions that we have been implementing. We've talked about the issue, we've talked about the key factors, but let's talk about the solutions that are actually on ground being implemented. Dr. Harvin, you're big on systems thinking. Maybe you could share a bit more about this with us.
Okay, so systems thinking is how everything is interconnected. So when I say interconnected, everything, whatever we do is actually complex. So with systems thinking, it makes processes easier. It reduces, process variations. It helps in energy efficiency in the oil and gas industry. And not only that, it also is important in our curriculum in terms of agility thinking, in terms of how we improve with keep up to the latest trends such as AI, VR, AR technology. When we talk about industry link projects, it is important that we take into account systems thinking. So this is something that would actually make life easier, basically.
And things more efficient, right?
Yes.
Okay, Deanna, let's talk about COP28. We understand that you were there and that inspired you as well. When you saw other countries, what they were up to firsthand, what stood out to you as a real game-changing move, or what you thought, okay, Malaysia can adopt this quite easily, or this is something we should adopt? And tell us more about that experience, and also what can we look forward to?
Right. So COP28 was in Dubai, 2023, last 2 years, and since then they already have a COP29 and COP30 this year in Brazil. 29 was in Azerbaijan. So what COP does is actually a conference of parties that we ensure everyone is there, all the countries are there to talk about the solutions. Of course, there are talks about the transition, the know-how, and the gaps that we have as well. So basically what we have there are loss and damage on COP28. There's also renewable energy efficiency power to 2030 that they're having to ensure everything is going on, moving forward. And from our side, what we can take back for Malaysia as well as for Johor, there's a lot of partnership for the goals that we can do. And moving forward, very soon in June, we will have upcoming very major conference in Johor. We're bringing inter-countries, Japan, Singapore, Malaysia. We are having one big conference to look into innovation and technology as part of the solution for sustainability.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Dr. Harvin, let's wrap up with you perhaps. How do we need, in summary, what are your hopes? If you could change things in a snap of a finger, what are your hopes for us to truly accelerate a sustainable, inclusive energy future? What do you want to be seen implemented?
My hopes are, with a snap of a finger, I want to actually change sustainability in terms of getting it implemented in interdisciplinary, into different multi-settings. So these multi-settings at a younger age, from the academic side of it, into the industry. So when the students actually graduate, they graduate with this knowledge.
And skills.
And these skills to actually implement it. So, like you say, we are walking the talk. So we need to actually basically, the students need to know once they go to the industry, they need to implement, so and so.
Thank you, Dr. Harvin. And what about you, Diana? Can you tell us, if you could snap your fingers, and fix one thing, what do you think?
I would think that's not just one, but all three are equally powerful and impactful. We need to ensure that we can have a proper purpose and platform. Policies need to, and be enhanced, and people's mindset, basically. Like what the doctor said just now.
Yeah.
We were looking into methodologies and programs from all over the world, the theories and all. So when we work with Japan, for example, there are a lot of things that we can learn from. We work with Sweden, there are a lot of things that we can learn from that. They taught us about backcasting, and in Malaysia as well, from our ancestors. A lot of things that we need to look into again.
Knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the parts that
like I was mentioning, like whatever she said, right? In terms of having that knowledge. So when we talk about like an APU, we actually have this Women Empowerment Network that I told you about, DigitGirl, right? So in terms of DigitGirl, we have 4 pillars. 4 pillars looking at girls in STEM, girls in fintech technology, girls in entrepreneurship, girls in psychology. So we do a very varied collaboration in terms of how are we going to roll out this in terms of ESG.
Wow.
So this is something that it's actually being run currently, and we are looking forward to do more, more events or more awareness for everyone.
This is very encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you both so much for your insights and your authenticity and the inspiration that you've brought to this conversation, and also hopefully to our viewers who are watching this, who are contemplating and wondering actually what's being done to support. There is support and there is room for more women in this space. Thank you so much for being here today with us on the show. And I think we'd like to emphasize that women are not just part of the sustainability conversation, we are crucial in paving the way to leading it too. So let's continue to build a future that is greener, smarter, and especially more inclusive together. With that, I'm Anita Woo. Thank you for watching our episode on Women Talk, and do stay tuned. Follow at Women Talk TV3 or at TV3 Malaysia. Like, comment, and engage with us. My name is Anita Woo. See you next time.